A new CBS YouGov poll out this morning that was taken after the debate finds that 72% of voters now say they do not think President Biden has the mental or cognitive health to serve as president.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering.
America.
Welcome to the eulogy, eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to This Week in DUMBmocracy, where we showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. We're still dealing with the fallout and the aftermath of Thursday night's presidential debate, where the Biden gaffe machine glitched out and blue-screened in front of the entire nation.
Dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
But it's been a couple of days since then, and Democrats are starting to get their footing again, and they're heading out into national media to try to spin things as best they can, especially the people you see on the screen right now, Vice President Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi. What they're doing is the most tortured agenda gymnastics that I've seen in a good long while that we're going to be talking about here, and we're going to be asking ourselves, are these people doing a service to Joe Biden, or are they just enabling him, becoming, as I'm terming it now, Biden-ablers, and doing a disservice to not only Joe Biden and his feeble mind, but also doing a disservice to the nation in pushing a clearly challenged human being into the national spotlight against a very capable political adversary in Donald Trump. We're going to go through some video clips of both Harris and Pelosi going on CNN of all places and not finding it to be quite friendly to them. But before we do that, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. And if you happen to like what you see and hear in this or any other video on this here channel, please smash that thumbs up button. Like, comment, share the show with your friends, all that really, really good stuff, because all that feeds the YouTube algorithm. As always, thank you guys so much for all that you do to help grow the channel. I appreciate all of your efforts, and you're doing such a great job of it. And for all you newbies out there who may be visiting us for the first time, maybe the second time, I don't know, I hope this video earns your subscription as we discuss the Democratic leadership hitting the airwaves to try to salvage what they can from this abysmal performance by Joe Biden at the debate. Let's start with Kamala Harris, who was with Anderson Cooper immediately after the debate concluded. Normally, an interview on CNN with Kamala Harris is nothing big to write home about because it's two people who are on the same side of the aisle having a friendly chat, agreeing on 99.9% of the points brought up. But in this interview, right after the debate, Anderson Cooper is really going to hold Kamala Harris's feet to the fire concerning Biden's horrible performance.
CNN's John King has described a panic inside the Democratic Party right now because of President Biden's performance in tonight's debate. He's been hearing from Democratic lawmakers and others around the country. Some within your own party are wondering if President Biden should even step aside. What do you say to that?
Listen, first of all, what we saw tonight is the president making a very clear contrast with Donald Trump on all of the issues that matter to the American people.
Oh, yeah. Clear as mud.
I'm sorry, what? Biden and clear message do not go together when it comes to this debate. What debate was Kamala Harris watching that this is her opening statement to a very pointed question from Anderson Cooper about how bad the performance of Joe Biden was? Now, Kamala Harris wants you to not believe your lying eyes and listen to her and say, this was a clear message about how Joe Biden and Donald Trump are different. There was nothing clear about it. It was one of the most muddled, mumbling, bumbling, stumbling performances in a debate in American history.
Yes, there was a slow start, but it was a strong finish. And what became very clear through the course of the night is that Joe Biden is fighting on behalf of the American people, on substance, on policy, on performance. Joe Biden is extraordinarily strong. And
Whoa, I'm sorry. Joe Biden was strong on performance?
You expect me to believe that?
Even Anderson Cooper is not buying that load of bull.
On
cannot
substance
be
and
debated.
policy and performance tonight, I mean, the president's performance tonight clearly was disappointing for his supporters. CNN is reporting Democratic lawmakers watching the debate were worried about the president's performance. One said it was a disaster. Another called it a train wreck. Those are Democrats especially worried that Biden did not punch back on Trump's lies.
Now, there was a lot of hyperbole on Thursday night, as you guys may remember. Democrats were coming out of the woodwork, anonymously, of course, saying that Biden needs to step away. Andrew Yang had the hashtag swap out Joe on X. People were running around with their heads exploding, thinking the sky is falling because Joe Biden's debate performance was that bad.
Listen, people can debate on style points, but ultimately this election and who is the president of the United States has to be about substance. And the contrast is clear. Look at what happened during the course of the debate. Donald Trump lied over and over and over again, as he is wont to do.
This has been the line from Democrats throughout the weekend, that Donald Trump is a liar and who lies at debates, and he didn't tell the truth during the debate, and how horrible of a human being he was for not telling the truth, according to them. If you think that was the takeaway from this debate, I think you need to get out of politics, respectfully, because everyone on both sides of the aisle were in amazement, in awe, in shock at the condition of Joe Biden at this debate, to the point where there have been news stories saying that Biden is only coherent during the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. on most days. Anonymous sources coming out of the White House reporting to different news entities. It's been a wreck and a disaster. I don't think that anyone remembers anything substantive about this debate. It's going to become known for Joe Biden's glitching and basically his complete and utter failure to communicate any policy or position coherently. Now, that's hyperbole on my part, but that's how people are going to remember it. They're going to remember Joe Biden not being able to find a coherent sentence with two hands and a flashlight.
He would not disavow what happened on January 6th. He would not give a clear answer on whether he would stand by the election results this November. He went back and forth about where he stands on one of the most critical issues of freedom in America, which is the right of a woman to make decisions about their own body. He has been completely ambiguous and all over the place about where he stands on that issue, despite the fact that he hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade, and that's exactly what they did. And just 3 years ago, we commemorated the 2-year anniversary of Dobbs, wherein women across our country have been denied emergency health care,
All that may be
suffered
true.
miscarriages
All that
to
may
the
be
point
true.
that
But the president of the
these
United
facts are
States
very
was not
important.
able to make that case to Donald Trump on the stage tonight. I mean,
What you just saw was an amazing tap dance by Kamala Harris that in and of itself was full of inaccuracies. This is the agenda gymnastics that I talk about in my book, Snooks, Crooks, Liars, and Scoundrels, a field guide to identifying political buffoons, that's available right now on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, and other online bookstores. Kamala Harris is going through a tortured list of talking points to try to show that Donald Trump was lying at the debate. Talking about his refusal to acknowledge January 6th, he had full answers responding to that. Talking about how Donald Trump is against abortion, and that's what he did with the Supreme Court justices, which, by the way, that's not what he said on the stage. He actually said that he's against late-term abortions. He was very clear on that point, calling the position of Democrats on late-term abortions to be fringe and extreme in and of itself. It was a strong talking point from Donald Trump at the debate on that. But the point being is Kamala Harris is trying to put the crap back into the Biden-Harris horse. She's trying to make up for Joe's lack of coherency by trying to make the points to the post-debate watching audience on CNN, basically preaching to the choir that's watching this right now, looking for some sort of reassurance that Joe Biden, their savior, the deliverer from Donald Trump, is going to be okay. But as you see, Anderson Cooper committing a random act of journalism on CNN by pushing back on Harris's talking points, saying that, yes, that's all well and good that you think all of that happened. But what about what happened to Joe? That's what I'm asking you about. What about his failure to communicate here?
Debated against then Vice President Vice President Biden 4 years ago, and he was a very different person on the stage 4 years ago when you debated him. You must, I mean, that's certainly true, is it not?
Anderson, the point has to be performance in terms of what a president does. A president who incites an insurrection against the Capitol. No, but I got the point that you're making about a 1.5 hour debate tonight. I'm talking about 3.5 years of performance in work that has been historic.
But
whether
is that
it be
the man who we saw on the stage tonight, is that the person you see in meetings every day?
The person that you saw on the debate stage that has, for the last 3.5 years, up until today, performed in a way that has been about, whether it be in the Oval Office, negotiating bipartisan deals so that we have an infrastructure, a real infrastructure plan where we're putting trillions of dollars on the streets of America to upgrade our infrastructure. Whether it be the person I see in the Oval Office who is meeting with heads of the military and the intelligence community and in the Situation Room, ensuring the safety of America. The person I see in Joe Biden on the world stage, convening world leaders who often ask for his advice, most recently just during the G7 conference.
Now, wait a minute here. Everyone remembers that G7 conference where Joe Biden was out wandering in a field, basically, wandering away from all the world leaders at some sort of paratrooper demonstration, walking off camera, wandering around to the point where the Italian prime minister, who was hosting the event, had to pull Joe back to the crowd to pay attention to what was going on. But Kamala Harris is saying that he is convening with these world leaders in such a way that he's coherent and competent. The point Anderson Cooper's trying to make here is that the Joe Biden we just saw on stage, he wants to know if that's the Joe Biden that's in the office every day, 24/7. Because if he is, that's a scary proposition going forward for the American people. It's a valid question, and Kamala Harris is doing her best to deny. This is just an aberration, this 90-minute debate. Look at what he did in office, and he's going to keep on doing it going forward.
Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
So I'm not going to spend all night with you talking about the last 90 minutes when I've been watching the last 3.5 years of performance.
But this was a debate that your campaign wanted. You pushed for this debate at this moment. Obviously, I mean, you can't honestly say, I mean, can you say that you are not concerned at all having watched the president's performance tonight?
It was a slow start. That's obvious to everyone. I'm not going to debate that point.
Oh, it was just a slow start, y'all. It had nothing to do with him freezing up or forgetting what he's saying or glitching out, as I'm calling it. It's no big deal. It was just the beginning. It was just a debate. The way her voice goes up at that moment, she knows she's cornered and she's trying to dismiss it out of hand. After watching the debate, being a couple of hours, maybe an hour and a half or so, outside of debate, post-debate on that night, to say something like that is a denial of reality. Plain and simple.
Talking about the choice in November. I'm talking about one of the most important elections in our collective lifetime. And do we want to look at what November will bring?
Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. Oh geez, that smile is creepy as hell. So remember back to the beginning of this video in the opening where Dana Bash was talking about a CBS poll that said that 72% of those polled think that Joe Biden doesn't have the mental or cognitive capacity to serve as president? Well, she's going to ask Nancy Pelosi about that poll, and honestly, the response is a prime example of agenda gymnastics.
What is your reaction to that poll? 72% of voters say they don't think that the president is fit mentally or cognitively to be president.
Well, what do they think about the other guy? Do they think that he has the integrity to be president?
Stop changing the subject.
This is a whataboutism, folks. She's deflecting from the question that Dana Bash has asked her, and she's talking about a non sequitur to make the other side look bad. She's not going to address a poll where 3/4 of those polled think that Joe Biden is cuckoo bananas up there. She wants to talk about her favorite target, Donald Trump, and that she wants to talk about whatever she wants to talk about instead of answering Dana Bash's question. This is what all politicians of every stripe do when they don't want to confront an inconvenient fact to their narrative.
After that performance, let us not make a judgment about a presidency on one debate. Let's talk about what it means to people in their lives. And
again, pay no attention to what your lying eyes said to you during the debate, because they're clearly lying. Joe Biden, for 3.5 years, has been totally in control, y'all. He hasn't had any lapses, no glitching, no bad statements, no mumbling, no bumbling, no stumbling, none of that you've seen over the past 3.5 years. Do these people not understand that when confronted with actual video, live video for that matter, of someone, that people are enabled to make a judgment on that they're able to see for themselves the state of the man, the state of Joe Biden? They think that they can control narratives regardless of whatever you see in the world. It's completely bananas, in my opinion, for anybody on any side of any aisle to try to say to someone, don't believe what you see, believe what I said. Completely buffoonish.
that's why you're not seeing much change in the polls on this. The difference between Joe Biden and the former president is so clear.
Some prominent columnists, several newspaper editorial boards are just simply calling for Biden to step aside for the good of the country. Tom Friedman, a friend of President Biden's, wrote the following. He wrote, Joe Biden, a good man and a good president, has no business running for re-election. If he insists on running and he loses to Trump, Biden and his family and his staff and party members who enabled him will not be able to show their faces. What do you say to that? Is there any part of you that believes that President Biden should step aside?
Oh, she was not ready for that necessarily. She's got to collect her thoughts. She's got to think about this one, because now you have prominent Democrats and friends of Democrats and donors and things like that all speaking quite loudly, questioning Joe Biden's fitness for the office, and more importantly, whether or not Joe Biden can still win in light of that debate performance. It's a big question for Pelosi, who thinks that the polls are stagnant, by the way, when little to any polling can be done in the amount of time between the debate happening late last week and today.
I want you to know I came home to California, South and North, and people are for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They have some judgment about a person who stood on that stage and lied, if you're just talking about the debate.
Lied, and lied. She's clearly grasping for words here and got stuck on the word lie, because that's the point of the narrative that everyone in the Biden camp seems to be pointing to. That's the big word of the day for them. But if you notice, Nancy Pelosi here is struggling being confronted with this inconvenient fact. She doesn't want to talk bad about other Democrats out there, because Lord knows she's going to need all the donors she can get for everyone else running across the nation, being a chief source of fundraising herself. But she also doesn't want to come off as being completely out of touch. So she's going back to talk about her constituency in California, who will vote for a dead dog so long as they're running on the Democrat line.
I'm respectful of some of the opinions that people have, but I also am respectful of the grassroots. My people are very much Biden, Kamala Harris, And this is an opportunity for Joe Biden to go out there and show he has the stamina and the rest. And by the way, while the press, and for some reason they don't, there are healthcare professionals who think that Trump has dementia, that his connection, his thoughts do not go together. Not only that he just lies, he doesn't even know the truth.
Did she just say that? What the hell was that? So Pelosi knows that these unnamed medical professionals seem to think that it's Donald Trump who has the mental and cognitive difficulties and not Joe Biden? Come on. First of all, this violates, in politics anyway, the idea and the concept of the Goldwater Rule. That the idea that medical professionals cannot diagnose a public figure or a politician just based upon what they see on the screen and not having diagnosed them or met with them or evaluated them or done any sort of workup in order to inform whatever opinion they may have from the outside looking in. This goes back to Barry Goldwater, as based upon the name, where medical professionals would do this. It actually became a canon of ethics for psychiatrists and psychologists, I believe, to not do this. That it would actually be a violation of their own medical ethics to do this. So for Nancy Pelosi to say, I know these medical professionals who think that Trump has dementia, that's clearly a violation of their own ethics if they did that. So Nancy, name them. Put it out there. I want press releases from these people. I want them to say that they've evaluated Donald Trump. I want them to say that based upon the evidence of that evaluation that he has dementia. We need to know these things about our potential leaders.
Yeah, put your money where your mouth is.
This is another attempt at a whataboutism and deflection of the main issue of the day. And that is what is going on with Joe Biden's apparent decline in cognitive ability, as evidenced by his performance, his abysmal performance at this debate.
If we're just talking about mental acuity, let's be fair about it. I don't think Tom Friedman thinks that that Donald Trump should be president of the United States. And while he may be saying we're enablers, we see Joe Biden up close. We know how attuned he is to the issues, how informed he is. And I debate with him about legislation, and not debate, but discuss it with him. He's right there. So in any case, it was a bad night. Let's not sugarcoat that. It was a bad night. It was a great presidency. And that's what the American people have to choose. A night where somebody's going to just misrepresent the facts completely, and then you're on your guard. The other person has to negate that, or again, it was a bad night. Let's move on from that. It's all an opportunity. Our members have been very thoughtful. They're very concerned about a president who would lie the way they do, and then the Republicans just go embrace those misrepresentations.
You're not doing too well either, huh?
Sounds like Nancy Pelosi has lost a step or two as well here. I mean, she lost her theme. She started mumbling and rambling on, having big pauses in between, trying to defend Joe Biden, trying to say, let's get past this, let's move on from this, and at the same time trying to attack Donald Trump. And it looks like she lost the plot towards the end there. So maybe it's not a good idea to have an octogenarian go out in the early morning hours to defend another octogenarian from credible attacks based upon his live performance in the face of an adversary in a moment where he had to think on his feet and failing miserably at that cognitive task. But listen, this is just my opinion on the situation. I want to know what you guys think about all this. What do you think about these Biden enablers? Are they going to make a dent and bring back people to the cause of Joe Biden? Or has the ship sailed? Has the bell been rung and it can't be unrung concerning the growing concerns of his cognitive ability, his ability to think on his feet, to speak contemporaneously, to critically analyze in the moment? all of which are skills that a president needs. Let's get into the comments together and discuss this. And as always, like and share the video with your friends, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. I look forward to your comments, and I'm going to be responding to you in the comments section, discussing this video, as well as all the other shenanigans and buffoonery happening every day this week in Dumbmocracy.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.